Are you tired of blockchains promising to change everything, especially knowing that most end up delivering nothing but hype and broken promises? Because I'm sure you've heard it all before. Faster, cheaper, better, but then eventually the network crashes, fees skyrocket, and teams fall out, and you're left holding the bag that is now worth basically nothing. But what if I told you that every once in a while something shows up quietly, almost unnoticed, that actually fixes what everyone else just talks about? This is Alephium, a blockchain that took the best parts of Bitcoin and Ethereum, smashed them together, and then made them actually work. And with their latest upgrade called the Newbie, they're opening the floodgates for staking, smarter apps, and a whole new level of participation. So if you actually want to understand a project that's building for the long game, then this video is going to be for you. By the end of this video, you'll see why Alephium and the Newbie upgrade could be the most overlooked story in crypto today. But first, let's start by stepping back for a moment and remembering what blockchains were meant to solve. Bitcoin showed the world that you could have money that didn't depend on a bank or a government, and people fell in love with that idea. But Bitcoin has a trade-off. It's very secure, but it can only handle a small number of transactions at a time, and you can't build much on top of it beyond sending and receiving coins. Although we do have to say that things are getting better and better lately with more Bitcoin layer 2 solutions, but in the basis, it is what it is. Then Ethereum came along and said, okay, what if we could program the blockchain? Now you could write smart contracts, which are basically little programs that execute automatically and build all kinds of applications. So lending platforms, games, marketplaces, and much more. And that was absolutely huge back when it all started. But then eventually another problem showed up. Demand exploded and Ethereum started getting congested. Fees shut up, transactions slowed down. And newer blockchains like Solana, Avalanche, and others came in and promised faster, cheaper transactions, but many of them did it by reducing decentralization or relying on more powerful centralized hardware. This is where Alephium enters the story at this point. They're not out to throw out everything that came before, but to bring together the strongest parts of what already existed. Its creator, Cheng Wang, wanted a blockchain that could scale up without breaking the principles that made Bitcoin and Ethereum special in the first place. And what's clever about Alephium is the way it combines the UTXO model from Bitcoin, which is very secure and easy to audit, with smart contracts and sharding. Now, in a UTXO-based chain, everyone can see exactly what's been spent and what hasn't, so you don't have hidden balances or complicated accounts, and this model makes double spending attacks harder. But it doesn't naturally allow for programmable contracts. So what they did was create a stateful UTXO system that keeps the security but also lets you build smart contracts. Now let's talk some more about the sharding part. Normally, every single transaction on a blockchain has to be verified by the entire network, and that's why blockchains are slow compared to centralized systems. Sharding splits the chain into pieces, hence the name shards, and each shard handles part of the transaction load. Alephium does this without sacrificing decentralization, because each shard is still small enough that regular people can run nodes, not just big data centers. Most of you watching are between like 24 and 50 years old, I think, so that means you've probably seen a lot of tech trends come and go. And if you've been in crypto for a while, you've also seen how too many projects promise the moon, but end up riddled with compromises. To me, Alephium is more like a craftsman who takes their time, understands the trade-offs, and builds something sturdy. It doesn't just chase numbers on a chart, but it keeps the values of decentralization and security intact while making the chain more usable and scalable. And the latest show of craftsmanship is the Newbie upgrade, which is what this video is actually about. Since Alephium launched, it's been working towards unlocking more of its potential. The Newbie is a major upgrade that brings two powerful features online: staking and more advanced smart contracts. And before the Newbie, Alephium was secured entirely by miners, which is the same like Bitcoin. And that's fine, but it shuts out many ordinary users who don't want to buy hardware and burn electricity to participate. With the Newbie, Alephium introduces staking. You can lock up your Alph coins and help secure the network while earning rewards. And this is more inclusive, and it gives holders a way to support the chain actively rather than just holding coins and waiting for the price to go up. The Newbie also gives developers a much better toolbox to build applications. The earlier version of smart contracts on Alephium was fairly simple, which isn't an issue per se and good for testing ideas, but it's also very limited. And with this upgrade, contracts become more expressive, meaning that developers can create more complex and interesting apps on the chain. Decentralized exchanges, lending protocols, games, NFTs, basically things people have come to expect from a programmable blockchain. And before we go look at what else is interesting, because there's a lot to talk about, I want to take a quick moment to let you know that I'm not a registered financial advisor and that my videos are always meant to be educational and entertaining only. Make sure you do your own research and to only invest money you're willing to lose, because even though you can gain a lot in crypto, you will most likely lose it all. Now, it's also very important to keep your crypto and your online activities secure. And for that, I've put links in the description to VPNs and hardware wallets, so make sure to use those. Also, know that this video is not sponsored by the Alephium team, but I do hold some Alephium myself for the simple reason that I think this is a good project. Make sure to follow there and my socials so you'll stay updated on the latest news. Now let's move on. What's interesting about the Newbie isn't just the features it brings, but also the way it was introduced. Alephium didn't try to cram everything in at once or overpromise. They built the foundation first, tested it, and then added new layers when the base was strong. Now, when you put Alephium's vision of a secure, scalable chain that keeps decentralization alive and the Newbie upgrade that unlocks more participation and creativity together, you start to see why this project stands out from other projects. Because it doesn't try to be a flashy, headline-grabbing chain that burns bright and fades. It takes lessons from Bitcoin and Ethereum, respects their strengths, and carefully weaves them into something more balanced. And with the Newbie, Alephium feels more complete. Now it's not just a place where miners and developers work, but it's now a network where everyday holders can stake, where builders can create more ambitious apps, and where the original mission of blockchain, which is giving people tools that don't rely on centralized gatekeepers, stays intact. So for people like us who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s or 50s, who've lived through the rise of social media, smartphone streaming, and now blockchain, the approach of Alephium should be relatable. You've seen what happens when tech moves too fast and cuts corners. You've also seen what happens when it moves too slowly and becomes irrelevant. Alephium's story and the Newbie upgrade in particular sits in that sweet spot, building patiently, adding value step by step, and not forgetting the principles that made blockchains worth paying attention to in the first place. Now, like I said, make sure to follow there on my socials to stay updated on the latest news. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Doei!